If you're Black American, I want you to watch these videos, right? It's educational or it's educative. It's for the purpose of education, right? I've been learning and unlearning. At the end of these videos, I know you need it. You need it. Of course, that's why I brought it here. Of course, you know what I can do all the time. They are really, really thought provoking. They are really heart wrenching, and they're also very educative. So at the end of these videos, I'm going to tell you what I think and what I learned, and I also want to hear from you, right? But trust me, you like every bit of it. Don't skip any parts. Just watch till the end.
Have God ever told you to let this white man rule you like he is?
Well, young man, you first must be born again. God is a
No, I
spirit.
ain't born again. I ain't got to be born again. See, I was born in a new generation. You could your mother could have brainwashed you, but can't nobody brainwash me. I'm ready. It's gonna take young boys like us to win the revolution.
The white peoples realized today that they was wrong for enslaving the Negro. The great mass. May I finish? I'll wait it. Why, if you so militant and so intelligent, why don't you keep your mouth shut?
I'll tell you why, Reverend Mitchell, because I'm sick and tired of you standing up there on a television camera, a black man with a white heart and a white face. You're a black Anglo-Saxon, you're a disgrace to the race to stand and talk about a white man loving you.
Y'all want to know the reason why we're so fucking depressed, why we're all fucking depressed? I'm going to tell y'all, okay? Hold on, let me fuck. The reason why we're all depressed is because losers are fucking ruling the world. Y'all let losers rule the world. Y'all let losers rule. All right, listen to me clearly as I say this. The world is being run by Neville's. By Neville's, you hear me? This little motherfucker here. Yeah, you heard me correctly. Y'all let these motherfuckers actually grow up and get into positions of power, and now we're all fucked. We're all suffering. We're all suffering. You can be anything that you want after graduation. You can reinvent yourself. As long as you make enough money, you can do anything that you want to do. No, the fuck you can't. No, the fuck you can't. You still need personality. You still need personality. But you told these motherfuckers that they could substitute money for personality. And they're still not fucking likable. So now they're in positions of power because they have the fucking money. And guess what? Because we still don't like them, they're fucking with us. Elon Musk, Mark Zuckerberg, Jeff Bezos, Donald Trump, all fucking losers. They're all fucking losers, okay? None of them have actual admirable personalities. None. But they're all in positions of power. They're all in positions of power because you told them that they could be. You told them that they could be in order to be liked. That all they needed was enough money so that they could be in a position of power, so that they could be liked. But we still don't fucking like them. And now they've become emotional fucking assholes with money. They all paid absolutely zero attention to actual character development, okay? They put zero effort in actually becoming a likable fucking person. Instead, they worked tooth and nail at making themselves so fucking disgustingly rich as a means of social acceptance. But like I stated, they're still fucking losers. They're still fucking losers. So now after they've done all that they needed to do, right? And they have the money now and they have the power that the money gave them, but they're still fucking unlikable. They have now become emotional, unlikable motherfuckers with money and power that is literally ruining our fucking lives. I promise you, every single time the polls come out and they show that Donald Trump is less liked more and more, that nigga starts foaming at the fucking mouth. Fucking Elon, when everybody started burning his fucking trucks, was like, why are they burning my trucks? I don't do nothing to nobody. They all want to be fucking liked. Fucking Mark Zuckerberg went and got a fucking perm and put on a chain because he wanted to be more fucking. They all want to be liked, but they won't ever be liked. But they got money. They got money and they got power in which they used to fuck us over because we still don't like them. That little motherfucker Neville told us that we would rue the day. We would rue the day. And because these motherfuckers will never be likable, guess what? Guess what? Guess what we're doing? The day? Rude, okay? Rude. We're living in it. We're fucking living in it. All of you educators, stop telling the kids that they can be whoever the fuck they want to be as long as they make enough money. No, the fuck you can't. Tell these kids they actually have to put an adequate amount of effort into character development. Make sure that you're an actual likable fucking person, a human being, and then you will be socially accepted. It's not all about fucking money because once they get money, they get power. When they get power, they become dangerous. All right? We're literally living in it.
Just throwing this idea out here, and just to remind y'all, if we don't like our government, you know we can overthrow them. We surely can. It's in the Constitution. Yes, if our government doesn't suit our needs, we can overthrow them. It's only like 500 or so of them in total. We can do it. We can do it. It's more of us than them. So what are we going to do? What are we going to fucking do?
Even if you
says today, I'm not going to run, I'm done. He's still going to be president for the next 6 months. You know the type of damage that he can do in 6 months? Lord have mercy. But see, this is what you get when you let evil people rule your country. This is what you get when you allow people that hold you in utter contempt to run your country. They hold you in utter contempt. Y'all, the Germans fixed their country by not allowing the Nazis to lie about what they've done. We have allowed the Democrats to lie about what they've done.
Can someone explain to me how religion is still a thing in 2024? How do we still have religion around in 2024? Listen, this might be a hot take, but let me explain. Okay? Religion has been involved in every single atrocity and suffering that has been committed on our planet. Religion is always involved. In fact, I can't even think of one good thing that mankind has benefited from that came out of any religion. There's not a single thing, not one thing that you can say that's one good thing that mankind has benefited from that came out of a religion. Not a single one. But now, let me tell you, every single thing that I can think of that's negative that came from religious people. Okay? It's because a group of people wanted to extend their religion to the rest of the world that we got both colonialism and slavery. Religion is the foundation of racism. Literally. Every single religion has a racial group that is representative of it. Every single religion. When you talk about Christianity, you see the race that comes with it. When you talk about voodoo, you see the race that comes with it. When you talk about Hinduism, Buddhism, Islam, all of it, you see the race that comes with it. Listen, I remember I was in India. I had a conversation with a lady, and this lady told me something that I will remember forever. She told me, y'all expect all these people to act and behave like good people because they're religious, when the gods that they serve and worship are not even good people. Back then I was young, so I didn't really get it. But now that I'm older, I'm starting to understand what she said back then. I'm really starting to understand. Because even when you get in their books, okay, their gods are only good, somewhat good, to the people who worship them. In fact, a lot of religions, a lot of them, they literally have words from their gods telling them to unalive people who don't believe in their gods. Literally. Literally. Even what's going on the other side right now, the genocide that's happening right now, is literally because one group of people wants to prove that their religion is better. When you break it down, it's really just that. It's really just that. They're saying that they're supposed to be there because an imaginary bearded man told them that they're supposed to be there. And we're just accepting that. Like, yeah, that's normal. Listen, I will never worship anything or anybody until the day I turn into dust. If tomorrow a group of aliens come to Earth and they tell us directly, hey, we created mankind, you should worship us, I wouldn't do it. I wouldn't do it. I wouldn't do it. If I pass and that imaginary thing that people call a soul, my soul, goes to another imaginary place like hell, and this bearded guy come to me and ask me, why do you believe in me? I'm going to look at him straight in the face. I'm like, sir, you want me to tell you why I didn't believe in you? Because I didn't see you. Because I didn't hear from you. Because I didn't feel you. Where were you when thousands of children were getting dusted? Where were you? Were you sleeping during slavery? Were you sleeping during the genocide? What were you doing that was so important that you can actually use to justify the fact that you didn't say anything when all these people that you created were getting unalived?
You know, I once heard someone describe betrayal as one of the sharpest pains that you'll ever feel, because You thought someone was one way, and then there's this sudden reveal, and the mask falls off. And sometimes I look at what's going on in our country right now, and it feels like betrayal, because I never really trusted the government wholeheartedly. But one thing that I expected from them is to never let it get to this point. I mean, I'm 61 and I've never seen so much hate, division, and just plain out nonsense as we see today. And so you wonder, right, the powers that be, whoever the hell they are, where are they? Like, where are they? It's like there are literally no checks and balances anywhere. On any given day, any damn thing can happen. And so that's what I mean by that feeling of betrayal, right? Because the United States feels like it's in a free fall and there's no one here to catch us. You know, the mask is falling off, and now we see the government in all of its glory. And there are no checks and balances, none whatsoever. So if you feel betrayed, that's where it's coming from. The mask is falling off. All right, love y'all, bye.
If we got freed in 1865, why did we have to fight for rights from the same group of people 100 years after that? The Europeans in North America declared freedom from the British in 1776, right? Did they have to fight the British for rights in 1876? Freedom is one of the concepts that means something different depending on which race you're a part of. For white people in North America, freedom is the ability to govern yourself. It's the ability to take charge of your destiny as a group of people. For black people in the United States, freedom is the ability to not be a chattel slave, but we don't govern ourselves. We don't have control of our own destiny as a group of people. We don't have our own land, we don't have our own government or military, but those things were necessary for white people in North America to get freedom. So what is our long-term goal as a race? Do we want freedom? Do we want sovereignty? Do we want to decide our own fate? Or do we want to be tied to the fate of our former enslavers? Because we're going to have to choose, and probably very soon.
Y'all, this white-scented country has white folks feeling so damn entitled. Y'all, I know you know this, but I'm gonna go ahead and share a story. So yesterday, I'm driving my daughter to school. I'm going down a side street. I'm going 20, maybe 21, okay? Out of the corner of my eye, I see this old white dude and what looks like his grandkids come off of the sidewalk to walk in the street. As I am driving in the street, he looks at me and starts yelling at me to slow down. I looked at him and I flipped him off. And y'all, dude was out there again today doing the same thing, taking those little ass kids from the sidewalk and walking them in the street, acting like he owns the whole damn street. And I did the same thing. Nah, I ain't gonna drive 10 because your goofy self feels entitled to the entire street. Nah, I'm gonna continue to drive 20 down that street, and y'all better get the fuck out of my way. Don't worry, I would never hit a child, so don't get it twisted. But the point of the matter is the entitlement. That is white people's shit right there. Acting like they own the whole damn world. Guess what? You don't, and I'm gonna make sure you know it.
Black people are the only people on the planet who have their internal conflict, their regular internal conflict, used as rationale for their oppression. The entire world wants you to know that the only way that they will acknowledge the oppression of African people, the only way they will acknowledge what they did to African people, is if you are morally perfect. Anybody who brings up that argument with you does not have any interest in acknowledging your oppression to begin with. We never bring up Latinx on Latinx crime. We never bring up Asian on Asian crime. We only bring up black on black crime because they truly believe you deserve what happened to you. They truly believe that you deserve the most brutal, unforgiving, and unescapable oppression of humankind history. Because African people used to sell each other too. You truly believe that any minute imperfection of the behaviors of African people since the beginning of time, any single blemish that you could find on our record can justify what we have faced as a people. Everybody will acknowledge that the Holocaust was a terrible thing. Everybody will acknowledge that the Holocaust should not have happened. Everybody will acknowledge that Jews deserve an apology, that Jews deserve support, that Jews deserve remittances. You will never see anybody talking about the Holocaust and saying, well, Jews did this to Jews before. But all because Crips don't like Bloods. Noops don't like Alphas. Black women not unified with black men. We deserve the worst treatment in humankind history. Peace out.
Thank you for setting me up to talk about this. I know that you and many other Black people know the answer, but it is something that I'm still processing and it hits me really hard in the gut. And so I want people to understand that I am answering the question, what do I know? Not speaking for anyone. Many commenters today have pointed out how many affluent Black towns have been created and destroyed throughout United States history. And most non-Black people know about the Tulsa Massacre, Black Wall Street, Lake Lanier, but it was many Black towns. One commenter said over 60. And it's not that some Black people sometimes were able to establish a successful community that accumulated wealth. It's that Black people were consistently able to go anywhere and together establish strong communities that accumulated wealth and had education systems and businesses and were thriving. And every time it happened, people destroyed them. And then as you progress through time, it becomes less acceptable to burn and flood and massacre entire towns. So again, you have the passing of the Civil Rights Act in 1964, and the United States opens the door to Asian immigration in 1965. The United States has a long history of using immigrants to get in the way of Black people. And so I think that this system of using immigrant-owned businesses in Black communities is designed to siphon wealth away from Black communities. And another commenter asked me, why do I think that people are afraid of letting Black people build their communities and accumulate wealth and to thrive? And we see it so many times. It's because they fear revenge, because they know what they have done to Black people. But again, we have been told that if Black people wanted revenge, it would have happened already. That is not what they want. And I think that people think that the violence and exploitation and abuse of power that they have exacted upon Black people and all Black, brown, indigenous, and people of color is a universal human trait, and that if anybody has that wealth and power, then they would return that evil in kind. But it's not. It is specific to, and all Black people want is to be allowed to thrive and accumulate wealth and exist as other people have been allowed to do. And again, please understand that I am answering the question, what do I think that I know?
For any Black immigrants that are in America, my word of advice to you would be to actually research the things that Black Americans did in this country that allowed African immigrants, Caribbean immigrants, Asian immigrants, Arab immigrants, the list goes on. Because without the strides and the fights and the deaths that came with being Black American and the fight that we had here, no one would be allowed in this country. Over the last 2 days, I've seen 2 videos of 2 different women talking about Black liberation movements in America versus those in the world, and arguing whether Black liberation movements were done in isolation in America as something that came out of the squeeze and grip of white supremacy versus those that were in solidarity with America around the world. And the argument, that's not even what I'm going to talk about. There's caveats to that conversation which lend itself to the continuation of the diaspora wars that we have online. And I think it's time that we actually start trying to approach conversations about Black identity, Black heritage, and Black history with nuance. One girl is Nigerian American, and she says this line that kind of set the tone for the whole conversation to go awry.
And I went through the American public school education system, which is why I have intimate knowledge of how African American history being taught in the US, much like American history being taught in the US, has a very specific isolationist lens.
Which you're factually not. You are a product of immigrants that emigrated to America in the 60s or 70s, because prior to the 60s, if you were Black in America, you were a descendant of slaves. So to say that you, a first generation Nigerian, you cannot go online and tell Black people that you know more about their history than they do. In many instances, what I find is that those descendants of immigrants who immigrated to America in the 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s, they're not aware of the actual historical context and lens that African Americans experience life in America through. So saying that you have intimate knowledge of the African American history that lends itself to your expertise is factually wrong. Me, personally, on my mom's side of my family, my grandmother picked cotton. My great-grandmother was a slave. How my uncles had to fight in the war in Vietnam, but they had no rights at home. My father and mother integrated a school. This is my father and mother. I'm not talking about some antiquated history that happened 200 years ago. And I think I'm uniquely capable of talking about this subject. I just spent the past week with my Haitian family, not my American family. And not speaking English, hearing the way that, we talk about history and hearing the way we talk about each other. Family is extremely, extremely, extremely educated on Pan-Africanism, the African movements, yada, yada, yada. Born in Haiti, grew up in America. I think I've always been raised to understand the different aspects of the diaspora. With that being said, there's also a tendency of African Americans to center ourselves in every single thing. Now, warranted, this conversation, this girl was talking about African Americans, but in the way that we speak about blackness and the way that we speak about each other, because of the grip that white supremacy has on us specifically in this country, we feel the need to bark at every conversation because we have to be heard, because continuously, even in the year 2024, we are not heard and we're not believed, and we're made to feel crazy because history doesn't teach our reality, and then America gaslights us. All I will say is, for any black immigrants that are in America, my word of advice to you would be to actually research the movements, the issues, the historical context, and the things that black Americans did in this country that allowed African immigrants, Caribbean immigrants, Asian immigrants, Arab immigrants, the list goes on. Because without the strides and the fights and the deaths and all the triage that came with being black American and the fight that we had here, no one would be allowed in this country. And I think that is the greater aspect of that conversation that is being ignored and pushed aside. Because if you're going to be an immigrant in this country that is allowed to be here off the backs of the people who are still oppressed in this country, you have to acknowledge that when you're having a conversation. That's my 2 cents. Hope you guys have a blessed day.
I think the whole rhetoric surrounding Kaylani is super, super interesting. I'm here for it because I feel like Black people are obsessed with the one drop rule. And if you don't believe me, just look at our celebrities. Like all of them, all of the ones that are super, super popular are very racially ambiguous, especially for women. And so it's like, what does that mean? Why do we have so many celebrities who look racially ambiguous or who are mixed with like over half? Why are we obsessed with highlighting people who don't look like the majority of us, you know? And I think it's because a lot of us have a lot of internalized self-hate. I think a lot of Black people are anti-Black. And I think it's not our fault. It's years and years and years and years of oppression. It's being slaves. It's going through Jim Crow. It's like Black codes. It's all of that. It's mass incarceration. It's the way the US has battered and bruised us. And like, it's hard to think about when you're a teenage girl. Like if everyone just constantly made fun of you, you would think you're ugly. You would think you're the worst thing ever. And I feel like that's what it's like being a Black person. Like people put you down so much, and it's not even just in America, it's everywhere. So of course you're like, wow, like I must not be the shit. Even though we are the movement, everybody wants to be like us, we fail to see the beauty within ourselves. And it's really sad to me. I really, really hope we get to a place where we don't just accept anybody as Black. We don't just accept anybody as to represent us. You know, I think Kalani can identify as whatever she wants to identify as. I'm not saying that she can't be Black in her own right, because Black is beautiful and it comes in all different shapes and colors and things like that. And if I was Kaylani, I would want to be Black. But I do think it's time for Black people to really, really start supporting people who look like us more, who represent us more, you know, who are of the culture, grew up in the culture, and had to bear the weight of looking like us, had to bear the weight of being a nigga every day. The features, the skin tone, the hair, you know. And I feel like these racially ambiguous, beautiful women, beautiful artists, and some men as well, they don't necessarily understand the weight of what it is to be fully Black, unapologetically Black, because they can be other things. They can be racially ambiguous, which we Black people, most Black people do not have the privilege of.
Other races are making weapons of mass destruction and taking over power, and Black people are fighting for holidays, hair, food, and music. Well, that's because Black people are not naturally destructive. As a collective, we don't want to nuke the planet. We don't want to blow everything to smithereens. We are actually nature's first choice. So we want to be at one with planet Earth. We don't want to destroy the ozone layer. We're not the ones spraying in the sky trying to block out the sun. We're sun people. Other types of people are barbaric in nature, more so in comparison to Black people, Earth's people. And fighting over food, clothing, hair, holidays, that's culture, babe. And for me, it's important to preserve my culture. I take pride in being a Black American woman. I do. I love being melanin rich. I loved Sunday dinners at my grandma's house when she would cook collard greens and mac and cheese and turkey wings. And I loved when we'd have fish fries when I'd go down south. I loved picking pecans from the ground that fell from the pecan tree in the outskirts of Augusta, Georgia, where I went every single year of my life to make pies. I love my culture. I love the way we dance. I love the way my hips sway to music. I love the way I wear my hair. I love how we dress. I love how we moisturize our bodies. I love the way we do everything, showers. I love my culture. So if we talk about preserving our culture, I'm not into ethnic erasure. And that's what a lot of people are trying to do to Black Americans. Now, I glanced at your page really quickly. I'm not sure where you're from, but I did see that you were in the military. So your perspective on nukes and weaponry is extremely vastly different from mine. That's your lifestyle. So I understand why that's on the forefront of your mind. And I get what's going on in Iran. Like, I get it, right? But multiple things can exist at the same time. Yes, we do need to be, privy, aware, and prepared because we're sharing the planet with barbaric people, destructive people. Two things can be true at the same time. Spread love is the Brooklyn way. And thank you for your service. I pray that you're okay if and when you get deployed. Make it home safely.
Christianity does more than teach people about God. It teaches people about power. And the reason that Black people cling to Christianity is because many Black people have never had a positive image, a healthy image of power dynamics. So a narcissistic God, a God that has seemingly only created you to fulfill his own personal ego, a God that will punish you for eternity, for 70 years living on earth, for 20 years living on earth, for 50 years living on earth. That makes sense to you because Black people historically have been forced to understand themselves and the world around them through rigid power dynamics. To be a good Christian, under Western contemporary definition, it requires you to ignore a degree of the abusive and narcissistic relationship that God has with you. It teaches you to have no boundaries, no rebuttal, no criticism for your governance. It teaches you to have an exclusionary understanding of power where you believe that power is only concentrated in one area. What it also teaches you is to view power, your agency to change and impact the world around you, as something that does not belong to you. As long as you are willing to be ignorant of that fundamental premise, you can be a Christian in the West. And that same ignorance, that same hierarchical understanding of humanity is only practiced for you to understand white supremacy. It's only practiced for you to understand homophobia. It's only practiced for you to understand misogyny. It's only practiced for you to understand transphobia. How else do we understand God? We understand God through his power, but we also understand God through his love. And if you've ever been to a Black church and if you've ever been to a white church, you know exactly what I'm talking about. Those two groups generally understand God's power and love very differently. Black people often understand God through his wrath, through his ego, through his narcissism, through his punishment. But oftentimes, white people understand God through his patience, through his grace, through his understanding, generally. But why does that discrepancy exist? Because, say it with me now, Christianity has been a tool for indoctrination. Since the conception of this country, conquistadors, colonizers have used Christianity not to only change your beliefs, but to change your values, to change how you view not only the world around you, but yourself and what you deserve. If we're going to hold white supremacy accountable, if we're going to hold colonialism accountable, if we're going to hold imperialism accountable, if we're going to hold any ism accountable, we cannot ignore Christianity. Peace out.
I'm going to say something controversial, and I need you guys to hear me out for a minute. We as Black people are still living under slavery, and I'll explain why. We are living in soul slavery. We raise our kids in authoritarian parenting environments that are inherently low emotional intelligence and don't teach social cues. Our relationships are based on obedience, punishment, fear, and not love. It's based on conditional love. All of this results in soul fragmentation, which inherently ruins our formation of our identity and our agency over ourselves. This will produce one of two options: being emotionally passive or boundaryless, or being emotionally explosive and dangerous. Yeah, so this authoritarian parenting environment that we've developed within our culture as normal inherently fragments the identity of our young people and inherently ruins their chances of becoming whole as adults. This is not to say that you can't heal. Obviously you can, but it is a much bigger barrier as opposed to people from other backgrounds where they might not have this same hurdle. Using religion to control performance, obedience, and silence to show your worth to parents or friends, covering abuse up with silence, or that's just how we do it. All of these things, it disconnects you from your emotions. It causes you to have this emotional suppression, which inherently disconnects you from God and makes it much difficult to learn what is considered healthy love, to learn what is considered healthy obedience, to learn what is considered normal in relationship with others. Okay, so the spirits frequently associated with this authoritarian parenting, soul slavery, is the orphan spirit, the spirit of slavery, the spirit of bondage, the mute spirit, the religious spirit, the Jezebel spirit, the spirit of control, the spirit of rejection, the spirit of depression, the spirit of confusion, which can often cause sexual identity confusion, the spirit of murder, the spirit of anger and rebellion, the Ahab spirit, which is this emotionally passive spirit, and the Jezebel spirit, which is a controlling spirit, the spirit of whoredom, and this unclean spirits as well. I'm not saying this to say that like, oh, like we're cursed XYZ. I'm saying this to say we have the power to wake up from this and not choose to be spiritually enslaved. We need to break free from this authoritarian parenting style, which is inherently causing us to lose our ability to build strong systems of support and community. That being said, I do also think half of our issues with government is that we're expecting government to show up for us in the way that family is supposed to show up for us. In other communities, they use family as actually systems of support, not just passive participants in their lives. Okay, so all that being said, I would love to hear more from you guys in the comments down below on what you think of the idea of Black people, primarily African Americans and Caribbeans, being bound to soul slavery due to this authoritarian parenting style that we are continuously subjecting our children to. Please let me know what you think. I personally think it is demonic, and I think that it raises children to suppress their emotions, which then results in their disconnection from the divine, disconnection from God. But if you have a different perspective, please let me know. And no, I'm not saying that they should be raised by a passive parenting style. I'm saying that we should aim to have our children be securely attached. So drop your comments down below. I'd love to hear your perspective.
Did you see the video of that young boy when he was asking, why do you people allow these people to rule us? When I saw that video, my heart dropped. I'm like, God. And that video should be like maybe in the 70s or 80s. Yeah, I think thereabouts. But do you think Black people in America have gotten the freedom they've been clamoring for all the while? He said it takes young people to get freedom. But what happened? So many of those videos are so thought provoking. I'm having a headache as I speak to you right now, right? Even about the people who are talking about religion and all of that. I love Jesus. I love Jesus. God help me with this. Oh, could it be true? Could it be that these people actually gave us this religion to enslave us? I so much believe in the power of Jesus, right? Could it be that we understood it the wrong way? Because I understand in America they have the white church and the black church. Somebody also mentioned in that video that the way Christianity is being taught in the white church is different from the way it's being taught in the black church. And we back here in Africa, we were meant to understand that Christianity came from British, that's Britain, right? The white people brought in Christianity and all of that. And sometimes they begin to question when things are happening this way. They begin to question, are you sure these people didn't do this for us to be this? Or for us just to keep us enslaved forever? You get it? I don't know. I have a total understanding of Jesus that is different from a lot of people, right? I believe I'm a Christian, but I don't believe in religion. Yeah, I don't believe in religion. I believe more, even as a Christian, I believe more in humanity, right? If you're not a humanist, you shouldn't tell me what to do, all right? If you don't really have people at heart, you don't care about people, you don't care about equality, right? I don't think you should be telling me about Christianity. So I have a whole lot about that I'm thinking of, in, including one of my video that is going to come out tomorrow, honestly, about Jesus, about Jesus. Even me, I'm looking forward to that video because it's going to be really thought provoking as well. But then I know every Black person needs this video, and if you've watched it to this point, I want to know, what do you think? Which of the video did it for you? Write it for me. Like write it down. Oh, this person did it well. Like, which of them do you think? What are those questions? Have you been asking the same questions that these people have been asking in these videos too? Of course, I have also same questions because these people are teaching us about forgiveness. I have a whole lot to ask, right? But then, like I said, I love Jesus so much. I love Jesus so much, and I'll be teaching so much about Jesus tomorrow. I hope you watch it and you understand. Let me hear from you, right? I would like to hear from you in the comment section. We are all learning. We are all learning. We're all learning, we're all learning. So kindly share this video. Every black person needs to see this video, right? And then I'll be back. I'll be back with a hot one. Don't miss it. Turn on your notification button. If you've not subscribed, go ahead and subscribe. My name is Blessing, right? And you are on to Global Gist with BJ, your number one plug where you won't see. You see, the topic I discuss on my platform, you hardly see it anywhere, right? And that is why you should always stay tuned. So I'll see you on the next one. Bye, guys. I love you.